Hey guys, it's your girl Eb, and welcome back to More Than Conversation, where we do life together and
Talk about it.
I am here with my amazing co-host. Introduce yourselves, please.
Yeah, you see, it's your boy Ash. Take it easy.
Hey guys, it's Ashleigh here.
And it's your boy Trey. If we did it my way, we do this every day.
Every day of the week. How are y'all doing? What's up? What's popping? What's good?
What's up?
I'm cooling, chilling. I made some
Oh my
baked
god.
French toast today.
Oh my gosh.
And it was amazing.
Are we gonna have
It
to
was
hear about
amazing.
this all day?
Because it got scrutinized and now people like it when they taste it. Yes, I'm gonna repeat myself. It tasted so good.
Moving right along.
My heart's content and my belly.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for sharing that with us, Ashton. Hi guys. I'm doing well. I'm happy to be alive.
Amen.
That's what I got for you. Sometimes that's all you got. So
Yeah.
I say I'm happy to be alive.
Amen.
Mhm.
I'm right here with you, sis.
Yep. And my week has been good. I hit my 100-day streak on Duolingo, so I think that's the biggest accomplishment I have this week.
That's lit. I'm at no, it doesn't matter where I'm at. It's not about me actually.
But
See,
it's
that's
cool, though.
shutting yourself down right there. Girl, it's not about where you at. It's about where
growth.
Trey's at.
So
progress.
yeah, I'll be
It's
bilingual
progress.
in about another 3 months. So
Bien.
so y'all gonna stop calling me Trey and start calling me
Trey.
Trey. Yeah,
Trey.
Oh,
Trevan.
Treyvan.
Okay.
That's exactly how they pronounce
That's
my name
funny.
at work.
Well, I'm good. I hit 10K followers on Instagram on my hair page.
love that.
So, the hard work is definitely paying off. Shout out to every single person that follows me on Hey Lock Sister. I love the Lock community. And yeah, it's only up from here.
Oh, I also learned that there's something called being a locksmith.
It's not being a locksmith. It's a locksmithing. It's a technique that you do to smoothen out locks and get it's a technique that you use to get all the strands in your lock, especially when the new growth. Anyway,
Back in my day, a locksmith helped me open my doors.
they still do that though.
Jokes.
Boom, cha. Is that what you want? Because absolutely not. No.
I'll take it.
Can you turn the thing, somebody, so you could at least see Ashton in the corner a little bit? Yeah. Keep going. Yeah. Yeah.
There we go.
Perfecto.
There we go.
Gracias.
De nada. Imagine if I said denied.
Anyways. Anyway, so I've come to realize, as a believer in Christ, as we are all on this wonderful, fantastic, fun journey, one of the hardest things to do is set realistic boundaries, because one of the things that I struggle with is continuously subjecting myself to the things that I know I struggle with. And one of the most beneficial things that we need on this journey is healthy and realistic boundaries. And that's with people, places, things, work, school, everything. God created boundaries. He is the creator of certain boundaries. That's why he made boundaries behind sex. It's for protection. It's not to prohibit you, it's to protect you. I think even God's love has boundaries, but I don't think that it does, because he loves unconditionally. However, there is an expectation that he has of us regardless. So don't quote me. I feel like I heard someone say that before, but if I remember who said it and what they meant, I'll come back to that statement. But yeah, I think one of the hardest things for us to do is set boundaries and stick to them. I've set tons of boundaries that I did not follow. If y'all have seen the amount of times that I have put screen time on my phone and take it off and put it on and take it off, and set app limits and put it on and take it off and put it on and take it off, and
All
Sticking.
over the place.
Yeah, sticking to it has always like been the hardest thing, but like one of my biggest boundaries that I have set right now is like places that I go to, because I struggle with like alcohol, and I'm very open about that, like with friends and family. And I set that boundary that way my friends know when they want to spend time with me, a club or a bar is just not a place that we can go to do that, because I don't want to subject myself to the thing that I know I struggle with severely. So I could agree and go to the bar and be like, just one drink, I'll be fine. But I'm not there yet strength wise, because that one drink can end up being like 5 drinks and 3 shots, and then I can't see. So like, yeah, I don't know.
You can't see.
And then I can't see. So like, yeah. I don't know. What's y'all experience with like boundaries and stuff?
People asking for favors that may be very, very inconvenient for myself. And especially when I already have something planned to do, or I have something that I have, I guess, put aside for me to accomplish within, I guess, that boundary or time frame that they ask. And the power of no, or being able to say no, it's not easy when, I guess, people who are close to you, or I guess people who mean a lot to you, like when they bring that question to you, because like, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I'm sure there has been like a time where our audience or you guys, you've experienced like where saying no, like just verbally saying it, not typing it out, but like when someone come to you to your face and saying no, like it seems like the hardest thing to do. Because like, I don't know, it's like, why is it so hard to say it? Like, I want to say it, I'm thinking it, but my head,
I'd be like,
my head is going up and down
of
instead
course.
of no.
Of
Instead
course,
instead of side
I'd
to
love
side.
to, and inside you like, I really don't want to do this.
I feel like we're not taught to say no when we're younger. It's not a thing. I didn't learn how to really say no. Point. And then you get older, and then you're just like, wow, why do I feel like I'm taking on everybody else's like problems, stuff, when I have things going on in my life? And then you realize, oh snap, I never learned how to say no. And then you go through this internal struggle of like, okay, I know I need to say no, but I also don't want this person to be upset at me, because guess what? They also didn't learn how to say no. So they're expecting, when they come to you with something like that's important to them, they expect you to say yes, because why would they say no? This is very important to me. You know, so, but at the end of the day, like, boundaries are there so that you can have a more, the word prosperous comes to mind, like your life you can prosper in your life. Because imagine if you're just saying yes to everything, you're going to be spread very thin, and you're going to be just, I don't know, there's not going to be that like ebb and flow.
I think God set boundaries to protect our sanity.
He created boundaries, bro. Like, he created boundaries, like as simple as the way the world was formed. Like, he told the water where it had to stop.
That's
like good. If that was the case, then the world would either be all land or all water.
That's very good.
He told,
we'd be like Aquaman.
He told
or like Earth
the sun and the moon when it was time to come out and when it was time to go back in. Like, all of these things, even our bodies have boundaries. Our blood has a boundary of like the veins and arteries. Like, our muscles have a boundary of like where it has to start and stop. So everything that God has created, like, was created within a boundary. And there's a difference between having a boundaries should not be a wall with no entry or exit. Boundaries should be a gate that can open and close frequently. However, you just have to know like what to let in and what to push out, because I started reading this Christian book on boundaries actually, that just shows us how, you know, as believers, shows us how God created boundaries and how it's important to be. Even Jesus had boundaries. Like, he helped I was about to say thousands.
Yeah, but he had to say no to a few people.
He had a core group of 12. Yeah. He could have taught everybody the way he taught them. Yeah. But he had a specific set of 12 that he chose to nurture beyond a certain amount of people.
Yeah, because it's like, imagine if he had tried to attend to everybody in the same way. Like, that wouldn't, he wouldn't have time. Purpose. It wouldn't be orderly. It would just kind of be all loosey-goosey, but he was intentional with the 12. And then, you know, and he had his few encounters here and there, you know, but he was never like, oh, I have to attend to everybody because I'm Jesus and I have to, you know. It wasn't like that. There was a structure.
But yeah, boundaries have structure as well. Like, we all need boundaries to function properly as people. Learning to say no is one of them. That's one of my biggest struggles, because I have some members in my family that would literally get very petty and weird when you say no, and it's like absolutely ridiculous, because no, like right. Just no. And you're right, that stems from them always having to say yes. So if I always have to say yes, then you always have to say yes. And what it really is no. The answer is no. Nobody asked you to continuously say yes. And I realized with the generations that are coming up, like, we are learning to say no to our parents, to our friends, to our family members, like whoever. If the answer is no, it's no. Mm-hmm. Like, and if you can't say yes to something and not regret the moment you say yes, then don't agree. Or take some time to think about it. Ashleigh is very good at saying no. Like, the moment the question is asked, immediately no. But it's always within good reason. Like, he don't just say no just because. Like, my husband ain't me and y'all. Don't come for him. But he assesses everything before giving a yes. How will this affect me? How will this affect the other person? Is there a workaround? Sometimes you have to tell people no so they can learn how to figure out how to do stuff for themselves. Because if you keep showing up for them,
true,
they'll never learn a sense of independence of how to get something done on their own. If you keep letting someone ride you like a donkey, they are never going to go buy their own donkey, because they can just keep riding you.
I feel like a lack of boundaries would have you susceptible to temptation as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Because if you always give in to peer pressure and being tempted, then what, like, is that even you anymore, or is that someone else handling a puppet? Like, even when Jesus was in the wilderness and the devil was tempting him to, I think, turn the rock into bread, or turn something into bread, or just form bread to feed himself, and then to, I guess, float off the cliff,
jump off the cliff. Yeah.
And like, he had to tell him, like, hey, like, I understand what you're trying to do, but no.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, because that was a boundary he set with that temptation, and being, I guess, asked or told to do something that he did not go there to do. He was firm. He put his foot down, which a lot of us need to do. We need to put our foot down, and he was stern on his decision, and he did not regret that. I'm sure he didn't. And even though it's Jesus, let's say if that did happen, he probably would have regretted his decision, giving into being tempted or being, I guess, pushed, not physically, but like pushed to do something that he wasn't really set out to do for himself. And I feel like that happens so much in this world that we live in, because like there's so much things going on, because the world continuously turning. It gotta, like, life has to go on, obviously.
Yep.
But I'm sure everything that's going on, everybody who's doing that thing, they weren't planning on doing it. Someone's forcing them, or they're giving in to someone telling them to do this or telling them to do that. You would be surprised how much people who are high up are regretting every decision that they're making because someone else is forcing them, or pushing their hand, or pressuring them to do this or do that.
Like people who doing what they doing because their parents wanted them to do it, and not because they wanted to do it, in careers that they never wanted, but their parents literally only wanted them to do that, so they had to.
You know, Ash, for what you said, I think you made a good point. I really do think that the way how we set up boundaries really has a lot to do with like our self-image versus how we want other people to view us.
Yeah.
Because, for example, I think even with myself, I think I might be more willing to tell somebody who I know really well, like, no, I can't do something, as opposed to a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people who I know well, you know, they already know my character.
Yeah.
And they know who I am as me. But as opposed to a stranger, I'm more willing to go out of my way so that they can see me as a good person.
Yeah.
And so because of that, boundaries are not going to be consistent, because now they're dependent on other people instead of your own personal image and integrity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like, if you ain't gonna do it for people you know, then why are you gonna do it for people you don't know? And for me, it stems back to being the same person with everybody. Because that's one of my goals as a believer. I think I talked about it before, where I don't want to go to church and be one person and then come home and be someone else, and then go out with different friends that aren't in the church and be someone else, and then go here. Like, it takes a lot of integrity to be the same person and have the same boundaries. With everybody. Like, for instance, with Ashton, I could care less about alcohol. If it's just me and Ashton, I never feel any need or pressure to consume out. Like, we go out for dinner often, and 9 out of 10, I don't order alcohol. I always get strawberry lemonade. But around a different crowd going to dinner, I feel like I have to get some sort of cocktail.
You're like, I wonder what this tastes like.
And it's just like, no, like, if I'm with Ashton and I don't drink, then I should be able to go around anybody and go to dinner anywhere at any time and still feel the same. But somehow, subconsciously, I always feel pressured around different people to include alcohol or make it seem like I'm like that still when I'm not. So, like, even the first time I ever invited all the girls over for like a co-working thing, I said, bring wine, knowing that I struggling with it and shouldn't be drinking it. But I felt like, to seem, I guess, grown, I was supposed to include that. These days, like, after that, I think we did it once or twice more, and we had coffee and pizza. I never brought it up again. So it's just like, with certain people, like, I'm okay with, like, like me and Ashleigh, we could drink coffee all day, like the iced coffee, the creamer, like, that's it. I never have to worry about Ashleigh saying, let's go drink alcohol. Like, no. And Ashleigh's been with me when I'm sitting down, like, we were at like a 4th of July party with my family, and I was sitting there with Ashleigh like, I really want one shot. And she saw how people were literally pressuring me to drink, and I was a hot mess. It was just like, yo, like, what is this? So around certain people, it was the same thing early on in Ashton and I's relationship. After a while, as I got closer to Ashton, I stopped using profanity when I talked to him, because it used to be in my everyday conversations. I was cussing like a sailor for no reason. And as I got closer to him, I realized that it wasn't necessary. So when I stopped using it with him, I was still struggling and using it with other people, until I was just like, if you can stop cursing, just stop. And I did. It wasn't easy, but I stuck to that. Do I substitute the words? Not gonna lie, yes. Do I still say LMFAO, that abbreviation? Yes, I still use it. I'm still working on all those things and cutting it out entirely. But early on, I realized if I don't have to curse with him, I don't have to curse with anybody. And I just need that same energy, that same boundary. Like, if I don't feel the need to drink around him, and that's a boundary that I have set, then I should be able to go anywhere and be around anybody.
Just a little comment, side comment, side note, whatever. The LMAO, whatever. Why is he laughing? I didn't even say that.
Yeah.
I feel like I was coming.
The RO. What's it? RO.
FL.
Yeah. I used to say Rolf and
Oh, no.
Lamo. I used to say Lamo
Oh no.
or Lamfo.
Oh.
Lymph.
Okay.
Well, I say
That's not where I thought it
I
was going.
say LOL in real life. Like in real life conversations, I'd be like LOL.
Well.
I had a primary school friend, like from primary school. That's maybe pushing my age. There's nothing wrong with my age. 07, like 06, 05, yeah, primary school. I had a friend who used to say lol out loud. He was like, lol. That's the first time I heard it. Before I really knew what it was, because I never used to text anybody. I was in primary school, and I wasn't on Messenger yet.
Texting.
Yeah, so I didn't know about that. I think it was
Lol.
it was a gaming thing from Habbo, I think, or something like that.
Lol.
Yeah, and he used to be on that, but he used to say lol out loud or whatever. Then I just started saying lamo, and anytime I read it on like social media or whatever, lamo, lamfo,
Lamo, lamfo.
lamfo.
But yeah,
Rolf.
Wumbo.
it's just it's just trying to have the same clear boundaries.
Yeah, keep that same energy.
Like keeping that same energy, and that's one of my biggest struggles. Like, girl, if you don't drink, you don't drink. And the reason why I compromise on that boundary that I've set with alcohol is because I don't want people to look at me and be like, that's dramatic.
You know what I love about like everything that you just said? There's a lot of like self-evaluation in that, because everybody's boundaries are not going to be the same. But like with what Ebony said, she said, I have struggled with alcohol in the past. So, and she acknowledges that when she's around Ashton, she's fine. Like, she doesn't feel as pressured with it. But she knows that when, I guess, like, inviting people over, there's this urge to want to seem like, oh, I'm grown, so let's, like, include wine. It's the acknowledgement of, like, how you struggle is such a big thing. Mm-hmm. Because once you acknowledge it, then you can make the change and be like, okay, I'm not going to suggest wine. Let's say coffee instead, because I know why I'm suggesting wine. Yeah. It's not, I know this is not good for me because I've struggled with alcohol in the past. And I know the only reason like I want to suggest it is to seem like more grown. And I don't need to seem more grown. Yeah. I can just say like, let's bring coffee, everyone. So I think with everybody, like when it comes down to your boundaries, like you have to like just self-evaluate. 'Cause for me, as an example, I'm a very like emotional person. And sometimes like how do I say this? Okay. So sometimes like I'm very like I will say my feelings but I've experienced this with older people a lot, that they don't necessarily understand like the new wave of how people are dealing with their emotions now. Mm-hmm. Older people tend to invalidate emotions. I'm sorry it took me a while to say that, because like I don't think I ever like talk about this. It's a very like touchy subject for me. Like I'm very emotional, and my emotions have been validated a lot by like older generation. Mm-hmm. That doesn't necessarily, they don't care about really like feelings or anything like that. They care more about like, oh, you have it good, like look at all the
they're more practical about
all
stuff.
of
they're
the
practical.
tangibles.
Yeah, the tangibles, like you have it so good, like what do you have to cry about, like what do you have to be depressed about? So I've had my feelings invalidated for a long time, but the new wave is just that you that, like, let's talk about it, you know? Let's dissect this. Why are you feeling this way? That's the new wave. That's how I deal with it. So my boundary is I can't go to someone of the older generation to talk about, like, feelings because my feelings will be invalidated.
Right.
And I know, like, I won't be able to take it, you know, like, if when someone invalidates it. So that's my boundary, you know? So
That's
knowing
understandable.
yourself.
The Bible says that too.
yourself.
Know thyself.
Yeah.
It does, because we know ourselves and we play real dumb. I be telling Ashton, I ask them to bring alcohol, and I avoid telling him that because I know he's going to be like, why did you do that? Because he knows. Like Tim Ross says, being in marriage is you outside of you looking back at you, telling you about you. So Ashton is me and I am him, and we are outside of each other looking at each other like it's a mirror. Like, so he knows me. I know it's confusing, but he knows me probably more than I know myself, because we are one person. So it's just like, if I tell him I ask certain stuff, he'd be like, why? If we go out with certain people and I order alcohol, he'd be like, why? And it's I pressure myself. It was the same thing with using profanity. With him, I would never, but I'd go out and like curse like I usually am. Like, I'm a person that uses profanity, and I know that I don't. I feel like my most authentic self is who I am with him, and like the goal is to be that with everybody so they can genuinely see like who I am. But it's just like the pressure, and nobody is pressuring me. I'm doing it to myself.
Yes,
like, nobody is pressuring me to go anywhere. Nobody is pressuring me to drink alcohol or nothing. I just assume that if I tell people I don't drink alcohol, the first thing they're going to do is justify why I should. Why don't you drink? You know, the Bible says the sin isn't drinking, the sin is getting drunk. Like, you could have 1 or 2 drinks, it's all right. And then I question my boundary. Am I being too dramatic? The answer is no, you're not.
Oh my
you
gosh.
You know yourself enough to
Am
know
I being too dramatic?
that when you consume 1 drink, it never stops there.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it makes you want more.
Yeah, don't ever let anybody gaslight you about your
A lot of my
boundaries.
traumatic experiences include alcohol. Like, and it's just not necessary. To me, it does nothing for you. It's horrible for our health. And on top of that, the reason why I drink is to take the edge off. And if I want God to be the head of my life, in the center, why can't I trust God to be the one to take the edge off? Instead of running to alcohol, I need to run to his presence. That is what I want. I do not want to use anything in this world to give me what only God could provide, which is joy and peace that surpasses all understanding. So I have a hard time standing on the I don't want to drink alcohol ever again, because every time I say that, someone tries to justify why. And I've done it to Ashton. Ashton is really one of them people that would not drink. He don't care. The only time he's ever drunk alcohol is because it was a very special occasion, or it was me passing him the alcohol. And when I first met him and found that out that he don't drink, what did I do? What? Are you serious? You're joking.
Lighten up.
But alcohol has never been something that he had a positive experience with growing up because of what he's seen it do to his family. So you either grow up and want to avoid or grow up and overindulge. He avoided. So it's just like, I don't want to stand on my boundaries because I don't want people to tell me you being dramatic. Yeah. I saw a porn on Twitter yesterday and I deleted the app immediately. It made me feel some type of way. And truthfully, I wanted to watch it. Porn is something I used to struggle with. So what did I do? Immediately no. Delete it. I need to protect my space. And we have to stop telling people that their boundaries make them dramatic. No, it does not.
Yeah.
The Bible tells you to flee from sexual sin. Do not tell your friend that they're dramatic because they prefer not to be in private settings with their significant other.
Mm-hmm.
They know if they go by their significant other house and get in the room and close the door, ain't nothing coming off but clothes.
Exactly. That's why you just gotta respect people and their boundaries. They set their own boundaries for a reason.
They know their self.
And
if you know someone who don't have Instagram, please, for the love of God, don't ask them why or be shocked. Temptation.
Yeah. The thing is, I think God, he, I guess, highlights boundaries for us for our protection. Because if you just walk around the world willy-nilly, walk around the earth willy-nilly, then people are going to take advantage of you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who's in your circle or who's around you or who are even friends with you, they don't want the best for you. They don't want the ultimate best for you. And that may be a hard pill to swallow, but you're going to realize that if you're always saying yes or giving in, then you're going along with what they want you to do, what they think you should do. Mm-hmm. But if you say no a few times, you're going to see things are going to switch up. And yeah, that may be hard for some of us because we are people pleasers. A lot of humans naturally are people pleasers because we don't want to feel alone. We don't want to be neglected, or we don't want to be, I guess, exiled,
outcasted.
Yeah, and so we tend to lean towards what someone else would rather us do or what they would want to do. But if you don't set those boundaries, you're going to be taken advantage of. Mm-hmm. And there's this phrase or this saying that my friends always used to say, and maybe other people say it too, but if you see a donkey, ride it till the brakes fall off or till the legs drop, basically. So if you always someone donkey, they're gonna ride you until you drop to the ground.
Ride till it can't no more.
Exactly. So if you stay being someone donkey, and they're gonna fully exploit you to the best of their ability.
Or a doormat too.
Yeah. So like people are going to take advantage of you. You have to realize this as a person that everybody don't want the best. So if you don't set those boundaries, you're gonna be exploited.
Exactly. Or they want the best for themselves.
Yeah.
I could just imagine like how Jesus felt. He probably lived, because as I've gotten older, I see that Jesus had so many boundaries, and he probably felt like so alone in them too, because maybe people would be like, what? Like, why are you doing that? You know? I remember when Jesus was telling, I don't know if it was the disciples or if it was just Peter, but he was basically conveying like what God's plan was for him, to die on the cross. And I think Peter was like, no.
Yeah, I think he was telling Peter. I think
Peter.
I think Peter was like one of the first people he told.
Yeah, and Peter was like his like right hand man.
Yeah.
And Peter was like, no, you that can't happen. And I could just imagine there was an annoyance, like, because like I'm just picturing it like he's in like the human form, and he knows like that's God's will, and then Peter is doing the best that he can as his friend, and he's responding, because I don't think he responded out of like trying to be like spiteful or try to go against God's plan for Jesus's life, but he just did the best he could and was like, no, that can't happen. And Jesus and Jesus had to set that boundary of like, no, like this has to happen, you know. And sometimes that's very hard to, because maybe we want to people please, like Ashton was saying, and we want to just because we're not made to be alone. And I'm sure Jesus felt alone surrounded by people a lot of times because he's Jesus, and he had probably the biggest call on his life ever.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, but like when she was talking just now, like I just imagine like Jesus telling the disciples like oh I have to go and pray, but like all they wanted to do was like go and race donkeys or something. I'm sorry.
Did you really? Did you really?
No. So basically, all I'm trying to say is Jesus had to have a lot of boundaries so that he could fulfill his calling. And based on what you were saying, like a while back, when you were talking about people think our boundaries are us being over dramatic, and how people gaslight us. Sometimes like we even gaslight ourselves because we want to set boundaries, and then you start thinking to yourself like, I'm acting out of character, but really like you're growing and you're changing. So obviously your boundaries are gonna change, and that you're gonna have to do that to push yourself further along with whatever road you're walking on. And there's another point, but I forgot it. All right, I forgot it. We'll come back to it when I remember.
That's cool.
It'd be like that.
There were some good points.
Yeah, it's the over dramatic, and you hear people gasp at your boundaries so much that it makes you question them yourself. Like, is this actually necessary?
Oh, I remember.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
I remember. Yes, right. And it was basically like I said, like when you grow as a person, you're gonna change. So your boundaries at some point are gonna have to change as well. You can't be stubborn with, all of your boundaries, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because some of them may not be in your best interest at a certain point in your life.
Yeah, you have to have boundaries
True.
against your old self.
Yeah,
Exactly.
boundaries and
Ooh.
accountability go
Yeah.
hand in
There you
hand,
go.
I feel, because like Tim Ross, I know people probably tired of me talking about Tim Ross, but watch The Basement, you'll understand. Watch his past sermons, you'll get why. But Tim says that he doesn't go to the mall because he struggled with basically being a womanizer. He struggled with sexual sin and all kinds of other, being promiscuous and all of that. He's married. He loves his wife, but he knows himself as a man. He knows himself spiritually, but he also knows himself as a man. He don't bother going to the mall. He ain't trying to see nobody. He shops online because he ain't trying to be tempted by none of that. So he knows his safest bet is to do what? Stay home. If he goes out of town without his wife, he's held accountable by giving the people that he's with a key to his room they can access at any time. Just so y'all know I ain't in here doing foolishness. Accountability.
Yep.
He literally knows himself. If he feels like he's tempted or anything or something's going on mentally, I think that's what he said. He plays worship music on his phone. So he wouldn't use his phone to watch porn because he was addicted to pornography. You got to know yourself.
Yes.
I know I struggle with using my phone all the time.
Yep.
So sometimes I just have to put my phone somewhere where I cannot see it. I can't pick my phone up the first thing in the morning unless it's to read my Bible app. Because if I go on social media, I'm going to go into a deep hole. And before you know it, it's 9 a.m. and I have to work. And at that point, I ain't showered. I ain't spent time with God. I ain't do none of that. That's why that boundary is so important. You got to know yourself and don't let no one tell you otherwise. Everyone's convictions are different. Just because I convicted about alcohol doesn't mean that you have to be. Just because I convicted about listening to certain music and watching certain shows doesn't mean that those same songs and shows gonna affect you the way that they affect me. I just know that some things I just can't consume because that's just where I'm at spiritually. I know that going out and drinking and partying is my conviction. As much as my flesh wants to do that, like I keep saying, I would rather suffer and stay home than go out and kill that urge or feed that longing. Because then I just can feel stink afterwards. And hangovers feel disgusting. So does puking.
And you know, something I feel to say, you mentioned this about Tim Ross, his mind, like when there's something going on, like in his mind, he plays worship music. The mind, like our minds, like not being right, like maybe you went through something, you had a bad day, or maybe you have like mental health issues or whatever it may be. That's usually the access point for like breaking a boundary.
Yeah.
So like I just felt it now to say, like, keep your minds like guarded in Christ.
Yeah.
You know, like whether it be like worship music or just pray for your mind. Even like I have to do that more now, because it's one thing to just say like the boundaries, because we're saying like a lot of good stuff here, but the thing is like the truth is like we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. Like there is like a spiritual world out here, and we're wrestling against things in the spirit. And sometimes there's attacks on our minds, and then we end up finding like, oh, now I don't want to follow my schedule that I put in place to make my life better. Like a schedule is almost like a boundary for your life.
Yeah.
Then you come under mental attack, and all of a sudden you don't want to follow the schedule. The thing that you put in place for yourself. So you knew to put the schedule in place, but because of the attack now, you can't follow it.
Yeah.
So it's like, as you're implementing these things, it's like also praying for your mind.
You gotta guard yourself.
Yeah, you have to guard yourself. The armor.
Yeah, that's so good. That's what happens to me with alcohol. I'm fine. I don't want to drink. I don't want to party. I'm good. When I'm stressed and overwhelmed and not okay mentally, it just be like, oh, girl, you stressed. Have a drink. You had a long, stressful week. Have a drink. Go out. Love yourself. Yeah. Like, it's stuff like that that'll throw you. It be the same thing with people that abstaining from sex. Like, you be chilling, you be fine, and then life start happening, and you want to cling to your vice.
That's usually because like these habits are like you see with Tim Ross when you were saying like what he does and what Ashleigh was referring to. Like that's us trying to reprogram our mind, because if you were doing something for years and years, that's you already setting that program in your mind to say like, when I'm feeling this type of emotion, this is how I cope, or this is what I'm going to do.
Wow, that's true.
If I'm at this point in my life, or if I'm feeling this low, this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
If this thing happens to me, I'm going to have this type of reaction. So, like, it takes time for us to obviously switch, like, to tweak that program, because years and years and years of programming yourself to do the same thing the same way over and over and over, it's not going to just stop in like a month or a week, or no matter what program you try to do online or you bought or whatever, what doctor you see, it's not going to just switch off in a week, unless that's some serious prayer you got going on. But even still, like,
mental strength.
Even still, God knows within us that, hey, you can't expect to eat terrible for 20 years and expect your diet to just change in 5 days.
Yeah.
You can't expect to just be automatically healthy in 5 days after 20 years of eating garbage. Like, after doing just nonsense to yourself.
That's right. We're told to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And it also says that we have to take every thought captive. Like, these things are proactively done. Like, like Ashley was saying, we saying good stuff. But we ain't just saying this stuff. Like, this is not stuff you just talk about and think about. These are things you have to do, because boundaries are proactive. Like, they take action. That's why when the Bible say flee from sexual sin, it don't mean mentally or emotionally. Physically get up and go. Like, sometimes the hardest thing to do is the easiest thing to do, which is a four-letter word: move. Move away from them friends, move away from those family members, move away from that job, move away from the career, move away from what you watch, you're listening to, what you're feeding yourself. Sometimes it's just a shift in environment that is necessary. Sometimes it's not the environment that is happening to you. It's the environment that you yourself have created. A lot of us don't be in environments that we're forced to be in. A lot of the environments that we're in and the things that we're being fed and the things we consume are there because we put them there. Yeah. So you got to rearrange some things. You got to move some things. You got to take time to self-reflect and become self-aware and know your triggers, know your vices. And in moments where you're more tempted to do the wrong thing, pray because God can give you the desire to do what he wants you to do. That's biblical. That ain't just whatever.
Yeah.
You can genuinely pray to God because he understands. God, I'm not going to lie, I really want to drink right now. And I don't just pray about it. I talk to them. I am very vulnerable about that. And I just started doing that. When I feel the urge to drink, I have to tell somebody. Because if it doesn't come up and out of your mouth through words, it'll come up and out of your body through actions. So when I feel a need to drink, I'm texting Ash, I really want to drink. Ashleigh was next to me at the party. Ashleigh, I ain't gonna lie, I really want to drink.
Like some people, like another thing that they may go through is just, I guess, stress spending or something, where all of a sudden
retail therapy, baby.
They have a new couch or a new
Guilty.
like a new I guess jewelry piece they have when they have like 10 others. Like it's different things.
Impulse buys.
Yeah, it's different things that people go through. Like some people suffer with gossiping. So like if they stress, they're just gonna randomly find something to talk about with some other person.
Yeah.
And when nobody asks, nobody asks.
Guilty. Overworking, overeating,
Yeah.
oversleeping, working out too much.
It's a lot of things.
Overindulgence.
It's a lot of things.
Working
yeah.
out too much.
Overindulgence. Y'all only keep hearing alcohol because
Working
I speak
out
it from
too much.
personal experience.
Yeah, but it's a lot of others.
There's a lot of other things that people do.
That we suffer from.
Yeah, that people do to cope, and then it sucks that instead of growing closer to God, our relationship with him is the first thing that suffers when life gets crazy. And that's what kept David. That's what kept Joseph. Constant leaning on God and going back to him time and time again. Yeah. So while I plug in the charger so the laptop doesn't die, does anybody want to say their last words and close us out?
Set boundaries, please. You won't regret it. Please, like, self-evaluate. Like, do that for yourself. You know, like, a lot of people are existing without boundaries and it's making their lives harder. But if you have them, you will see there's a significant there'll be a significant difference. Also, if people are pushing against your boundaries, I was gonna say that's the time to start praying, but always pray for your mind that it's guarded. Just guard yourself. Because God will give you the strength to keep those boundaries and to keep going. And as you maintain those boundaries, then those will kind of be like your new wineskins. If you know what verse I'm referencing, the verse of you can't pour new wine into old wineskins, because the old wineskins will burst. So you need new wineskins. You need a new way. You need new habits. You need new boundaries, so that God can pour into it, so he can have you grow, and you can grow in Christ, and just see more of him in your life.
Yeah, level up.
Level up. Yeah.
Level up.
All right, so my final words are, if nobody got you, you got you. So make sure you keep your boundaries intact.
Facts.
And if you feel like anybody's going to have a problem with your boundaries, forget them. You'll be all right.
And when you set those boundaries, you realize that it's going to start getting clearer and clearer, that you can see clearly now the rain is gone. All of the obstacles that were in your way. Like it's
Come on, somebody.
It's going to be a brighter day.
Gonna be a bright,
such a brighter day. Bright day.
Sunshiny day.
Amen.
Yeah, I don't really have no last words because I do most of the talking. No, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, y'all. I was really passionate about what I was saying, because I feel like a lot of what I said I didn't really realize until talking about it now, especially about my boundaries and why I think that was the first time I was ever being honest about why I switch up, because I don't want nobody having nothing to say to me, and I've had so much people trying to justify things. when I say I can't do this. Oh my God, why? What's wrong with you? And I've done it to people. Whereas when they say they don't do certain things, I have certain things, I'm in shock when it's just like, that's just their boundary. And you got to respect that. So we appreciate y'all so much for watching, listening, spending this cool minute with us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, click the notification bell to be notified anytime we post. Y'all can click the links in the description to follow us on social media, or I will put the little thing at the bottom of the screen somewhere down here with all our socials, if you're looking. For those of you that probably listen and don't watch, follow us on Instagram at More Than Convo. All of our Instagram names are in the bio there. You can reach out to us if you need to, comment, or reach out. Let us know what y'all want to hear us touch on. And if we have anybody in the South Florida area that ever wants to come sit down and talk and chill with us, let us know. And we'll be happy to make that happen, you know. But
all love.
Until next time, it's been your girl, Eb.
And
Ashleigh.
Thanks, Ashleigh.
Trey.
And this your boy Ash. Yeah, you see.
All right, and MTC on 3. 1, 2, 3. MTC. Bye, guys.